Alright guys, sorry I'm late, it's my fault on my part. I will have a Q&A Alex on the papkov in a little while. Sorry, my fault, a bit of a mess up for me, I had something cropped up. Hope you're all fine. I just hope for the stream to go a bit further on, a little bit further on, and hope it goes out to a few and pick up a little bit. We got 5. Hit the likes. It'll be coming on in a minute. And anyone's got any grievances and crap, you can give him answer him some questions. Answer him some questions. Hiya, Candy. Yeah, sorry I'm a bit late. I was supposed to do this at 6, but I had something cropped up. Hope you're well. Christopher Pakov, who lives in Israel, he's coming on in a minute. I think this is a part 3. Just hope we could get the number up to have these Q&As with him. So the ones who have actually given me stick and calling me names can actually ask someone with a bit of intelligence to talk to. Ask them questions. So Ghost, if you're around and that, and Triller, come and ask him some questions. Are you afraid? I bet you're afraid to actually, because you know he's a bit more high IQ. Yeah. So rightly or wrongly, or people rightly or wrongly, on people will have it. There's no need for personal attacks and doing threats like I had yesterday. We're all supposed to be grown ups on here. We're going to have things we don't like on here. So anybody out there who's got knows an Israelite, somebody let us know, please. And I want one is a fanatic. Is fanatical over religion, God. That's what I want as well. So it's not all going to be one-sided. I'm gonna try and get a more fanatic people, but not from the ones I know from here, from other areas. So we're not going to have the personals. So I'll have it equal on here. If you're going to expect me to be intimidated, I'm not. Okay, I've done my statement this morning saying, yeah, I shouldn't have said about the IDF through, and just take it as that. Apart from that is cut out the threats and cut out the thing. Do not care. Anyway, I'm just waiting for him to come on. So I've got to apologise for it. It's on my fault. I had some other problem, things come up in the real life, but I'm here now. I just wait for him to come on. Because it's 2 hours ahead. I think 3 hours ahead. You might feel a bit tired. So I just wait and see. The newcomers are coming along. Hi. Thank you for coming. And thank you for subscribing. Yeah, if you want to come on my channel, actually come with no trolling and no stupidness, and come with some seriousness. Yeah, let people know I'm live with this, and we've just got to bear with it in just a little while. Do know a lot of people are trying to cause a bit of shit. So the only place I go is on here, maybe on the panel of Bristol Unknowns, or maybe if Teddy goes live. That's the only time you will see me anywhere from this channel, and that is it. Use your common sense, look at the clones and look at the things, and bloody vindicate me if you've got mods on your channel. Yeah, because that's what I will do. So I'm gonna be on in a minute. I think he will be on in a minute. And it's been quite a bit mad. It's escalated. Really badly. Really badly. It's just gone crazy. I've been watching a few things actually. I don't like Piers Morgan. But he's on Centre thing. It's been quite good. I've been watching it quite a bit. Debates. Now I'm just going to see what's going on here in America. It seems to calm down a little bit, but it's Paris is the one is actually now. There's a few problems with now, and isn't there? I was doing a thing. I am going to do a thing about Southall, West London, and the community, and community of the Sikh community in Southall. Now I've got a high regard of the Sikh community. Definitely have. I think they're good people. And right, I'm going to show from Paris while we're waiting for Alexander. The May Day thing, what's going on there. I'm going to share this for a minute. And this is what's going on in Paris. Candy, it is mad. And do you know what? They're very being insincere, these people in these universities, because it was justified what the police have done. You can't just stop threatening people who have paid thousands and thousands of pounds to study, you know? You can't just keep doing, yeah, demonstrate, man, but you can't keep on doing what they're doing. So this is Paris. He might have gone. I think the guy might have gone to sleep now. It was my fault because he is. He is 2 hours ahead. We're just waiting and see if he's around. So if anybody's around, they can have a Q&A with him. Jump on. You've got to have your opportunity, Mr. Ghost, or the thrillers of the world. But you ain't bothered, are you? Now, you will say, oh, you want to run up hate and troops on here to go at people. You must probably sitting watching the football, weren't you? Yeah. But we'll get this rolling. Come on. Yeah, it's a bit crazy. But everywhere, it's just all gone mad, isn't it? Always seems a little. I don't know, Candy. I think, like I said to you, are they really outraged, or is it just an excuse to just have a go and just moan? To be fair, we'll see if we ever know. And the vote, it's gone crazy. We need to start to. Hello, Luke Green, aka Tattoo Terror. All right. Hello, welcome. It has gone crazy, and what is wrong, Luke? And it's time for people to talk. I mean, are they? I mean, Candy, I'm not understanding, right? These governments are doing this to divide everyone, yeah. And I just think that's what they're doing. They're doing it to divide. We need to talk more. But too many people though just wanna attack and wanna hurt people now. And it is about time we need to all sit down and say, look, these government. You're all right. Welcome to the channel, Luke. You are. I think, Luke. I think this is where you're seeing the new world order taking place now, isn't it? I think I don't know about France though, because I think the French people have got their own minds, haven't they? Like the government, what they do. Luke, you're right. You are right. We all need to wake up. Do you know what the ones they say in the higher places? They will say they're against each other, but I tell you what, I don't think they are in the background. And this is what I See, I was thinking about the Israeli president, and really, I think he doesn't want to sort things out anymore. I don't think none of them want a ceasefire because it breeds money, and I think the people are being lied to. And look at the divide it's doing now. Look at the divide, and what purpose? What purpose? I don't think they ever want to stop now. Um, Stop that war and people, and I don't think it's just him. I think it's both of them. I think they both chat about it and say, well, things could get done a little bit differently around the world, and with all the elites. Now we will see. We will see. Every day we need to wake up and just think about when Trump was power, whatever he was happening in the world, there was none. Do you know what? If Trump did get in, he will stop all of this. And this is why they try and thingy, don't they? So they don't. He doesn't get in. Do I agree with everything he says? No, but I do believe he would stop the wars, Russian and Ukraine war, and I don't think we would see the Israel thing. I think, but then again, America is funding it, so we'll wait and see. We'll see tonight, and I am going to cover tonight the election thing with Sidi Khan. Let's see if he bought his way into yeah, he will stop it. You know why? He has to stop it. Why he has to stop it, Luke? It's because he knows that America's losing money through it. Like, he knows America's losing money through it, and he don't want to pay out for wars. You know. I love Israel. I love the people. I like the country. And but I think they're beginning to have a obsessed lunatic in charge in Israel now, and we've got to actually need to wake up for a little bit with this sort of thing now, and stop saying it's attacking everybody on the street because of their faith, yeah. And it seems like one group gets protected and the other doesn't. Yeah, they need to stop it. It needs to stop. They've got to realise it. We can't trust anyone. You can't really trust Trump, to be fair, Luke. Yeah, they're all fucking nuts. But in Israel, I think Hamas needs to be stopped. But then again, I think the way they're going about it, they could do it another way. Surely they can sort of do snatch squads to get them. I just don't know. It's got to be a better way from not having people killed. You can't even trust the man who's good standing. Do you know what? It's so true, mate. These days, you're right, actually. That's a good point. Right, guys, I've got to give him another 10 minutes. He might have fallen asleep because he is, and it is my fault. This is arranged. Um, I didn't arrange it properly because I did put the show up, but we'll give it a go. Here we are. Hang on. So what? Let's see if he's back in a minute. I'll just leave this on. You could get checked out. Don't worry with that. Oh Christ, Luke. I don't have him round here anymore, mate. I don't want him round here. Making the channel more serious, more the topic debate. Um, yeah. Just see if he's around. Yeah, I would just not bother with him anymore. That's what I'm doing. That's what this is my fault actually. Here I got held up, but I'm just gonna leave the stream running, and I'm just gonna make a drink and just wait and see when he comes. So I'm showing the scenes at the moment from Paris, and I, I just, all right, then, man, it's okay. Say what you want, man. Okay. I um just play this. He will be coming along very soon. So anybody wants Q&A with him, or might have to rearrange it. You can't do it for long. If anyone's around.
Europe lasting ceasefire is the only path forward. By saying no more weapons for war crimes, the U.S. government around the world, which has watched in amazement and confusion at the double standards and hypocrisy that this government has demonstrated in its foreign policy. By saying no more weapons for war crimes, the U.S. government can finally use real and powerful leverage to help put an end to these atrocities. Prevent genocide.
Oh, ceasefire. Ceasefire. Stop sending. Stop sending. Stop sending. When I say no weapons, you say no weapons. Thank you so much, Nadia. Next up, I want policy at the Friends Committee for National.
I am honored to be here today, standing in solidarity, Oxfam, Peace Action, and Power Change, and American Friends Service Committee, and we're demanding to world leaders that there is an arms embargo on Israel and an end to U.S. complicity in this unfolding nightmare in Gaza. In January, I went to Palestine, and I got a first-hand look at how U.S. weapons are being used. Kids we met. A few 8th grade Ramallah Friends school students thanked us for our advocacy, but it felt like not enough. And we knew that we couldn't stop advocating for an end to U.S. complicity and a permanent ceasefire. Children, November, during a hate crime in Vermont, he said, "Can you tell the people in the U.S. to stop supporting crime of hate against Palestinians?" On my last, after being bombed, most likely with U.S., I will never forget. They've been able to save more than 50 kids, getting them safe passage into Egypt, Turkey, in Florida. She explained that many of the families don't want to come to the U.S. out of fear. That's because they know where the weapons are coming from. I have no weapons.
Hey, I'm here.
Hello, Alexander. Oh,
Rick, you're a crazy dude. You called me at 3 in the morning yesterday.
did I?
Yeah, you had some sort of group.
Oh no, I hit the wrong button. I am so sorry. My
Yeah,
fault.
and
Sorry.
we were
No,
scheduled
there
to
was
start
no.
like 2 hours ago, and you didn't tell me you You were coming, so I thought you canceled.
Oh no, I didn't. Sorry, I had something cropped up and I couldn't. It went a little bit mad, and I'm sorry about that call thing. I don't know what happened there. I done that by accident. I don't know why that happened. But sorry
That's
about that, and sorry about today as well. It's been a bit of a mad one. Um,
yeah. Well, I think I can do for another hour.
yeah,
After that,
that's
I'll
okay.
go back to sleep.
I've had a few a few uh, uh, problems.
Personal issues.
Not
Let's
just
say
that,
that.
and on there as well, I had someone saying I'm upsetting everyone. Good. So it's like, yeah, but I'm sorry about that crew thing. It wasn't meant for anyone. That I hit that by accident. It was my phone. I don't know what happened there. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's let's start again, man. So how you been, mate? You all right?
Yeah. Yeah. I nothing unusual. I remember that people in the last show they asked me about the Rothschilds, and I sort of got off track. But that was a sham because I have some not exactly personal but local stories about the Rothschilds because I
Yeah.
live in the upper eastern Galilee. So this is the area where Rothschild famously visited when he did this little tour of Israel.
Oh, okay. Well, talk us through
So
that. That'd be
yeah,
interesting. Hi, great
uh,
Brian.
so
Um,
he was visiting a village called Rosh Pina. It was one of the earliest, let's call them new wave settlements. So the there were always a very small number of Jews living in Israel called the Old Settlements. And
yeah.
then in the 1870s, there came a new wave of Jews who were more like uh, they started building completely new communities instead of just living in the towns. So one of the first places that was built was Rosh Pina,
Uh
and
huh.
they were like really, really poor. The Arabs gave them only the land that nobody else wanted because it was full of, basically swamps with mosquitoes and stuff, and problems with water and all that. So Rothschild around that time they were doing like a shaming campaign, or like all the Jewish newspapers were complaining that Jews are resettling in Israel, and uh, people like what's his name? He was a British lord, Montefiore, are contributing to the Jewish settlement, and the Baron Hirsch. He was, I remember, British, also British, I think, are contributing to the Jews, and only Rothschild, the richest Jew in the world, is not contributing anything. So they were like shaming him for years until he decided to
Yeah.
just come over, and he went to the village of Roshpina, and these people were so poor they had to like collect money between them to buy one pretty dress for one pretty girl that she can have a group photo with him, because nobody else had any clothes that didn't have holes in them because they were so poor. And this Rothschild guy was such a jerk. He donated less money than the cost of the coat that he came in. You know,
Wow.
the guy, like, he traveled to another country for people who were waiting for his help for years, and he donated less than the clothes that he came with. And when he donated, he didn't just give the money; he made conditions. Is such a piece of crap. He forced them not to grow food, but to grow things that were for like export. He wanted them to grow tobacco and silk and stuff like that that you can't eat, but you can resell. Why? Because he wanted to have influence in the area was ruled by the Ottomans, the Turks back then. He wanted to have the opportunity to pay bribes to Turkish government officials through controlling this piece of trade, so that he could influence the whole build up to World War One, to build up the alliance between the Turks and the Germans, because he was originally German. So not only did the guy give almost no money, he was forcing them through his money to work in something that was not beneficial to them. And after about 2 or 3 years, the super poor people told him that, you know what, we'll be better off without your money. We'd rather grow our own food and be independent than take your stupid French and German money and grow the stuff that people don't need. And yeah, so Roshpina is they stayed poor for a while, but eventually they got richer with the generational wealth, and now it's like a really rich place where we have it's it still had this small town mentality where it's less than 1,000 people, but you have like Lamborghinis and Bugattis parked
Yeah.
in the garages, but people still have like small modest houses, like 1 story or 2 story building with 5 6 rooms. Even if they're millionaires, they still have like a small house.
Do
So
you know that,
and yeah.
Christopher, Alexander? How many? They said there's quite a few Rothschild families, isn't there?
Well, yeah, it's a full-size tribe, and you have like the branches. Like there's the French branch, the German branch, the British branch, the American branch, and they sort of uh, he Rothschild, the original one, what's his name? Edmund Mayer Rothschild, I think.
Okay.
He had several sons, and he sent each son to a different country, so they would establish a branch there. And then you have like in each family, you have the main heir, and you have the minor heirs. So it's like in the royalty titles, you have one person who inherits the title itself, and you have others that only get the money. So you have uh, a very important point that the Rothschild, like the Frankists, who may be related, uh, all of them at the beginning of the 20th century, they all married into European royal families, and in fact, there is not a single main branch Rothschild in any of the main branches who is Jewish by Jewish law, because they all married Christians, so none of them are Jewish actually. The last, the last, the last ones who were even by even if not by faith then by Jewish law Jewish, the last ones were like died like 20 or 30 years ago. So none of the currently living Rothschilds are Jewish, not a single one. They all married like Russian nobility, British nobility, French nobility, German nobility, Swedish nobility. None of them are Jewish. None. So the whole pretending that Rothschilds have anything to do with the modern day Jews is completely wrong. And they actually support the whole leftist thing. So they are inherently hostile to Israel and the Jewish people as a whole. uh, some of them you have like what's the word? Bastards, like illegitimate members of the Rothschild family.
Mm.
There are a few that live here in Israel, and they didn't, actively work in the money sector. But a good example is the main stakeholder within the Rothschild empire is Ariana Rothschild. She lives in Switzerland, and she was caught in the uh, in Epstein's emails.
Yeah.
She sent a representative to Epstein's house to meet with the famous leftist Noam Chomsky and the famously treacherous former general, former prime minister, crazy leftist, and overall stupid person Ehud Barak. And they also had a lawyer from the U.S. State Department. So you have a former general and a famous leftist, an American State Department lawyer, and a Rothschild lawyer, all meeting in Jeffrey Epstein's house, plotting for ways to switch the Israeli system from right wing to left wing. So that's the activity that they are currently busy in, and they're also into the whole, you know, limiting population growth and climate change propaganda and all that stupid stuff. So they are inherently evil. I mean, in the during the World War I, World War II, there were a few that were, not completely disgraceful, and they fought for the allies and tried to do like saving Jews or smuggling children out of Germany. But after about the 50s and 60s, they were all turned completely bad, completely not just anti-Israel but anti-human, because they started financing the whole uh, leftist, all of these Huxley, Darwin, Wedgwood, Sutton, Clark, all the evil guys.
Mm.
Basically, the whole George Orwell books that were shown in 1984 in Animal Farm. These were their actual plans that they planned to realize in the future, because they were planning 50 years ahead. And yeah, that's what they pour all their money into now. I mean, it's like the recent all of these protests in the American campuses. You notice they all have the identical tents where they occupy the universities. That's not by accident. The people who funded that were a Soros-related organization and Rockefeller-related organization, and the laundering of that money came through the Rothschild family. So they are collaborating with the openly anti-Jewish groups. Like
Wow.
people like Soros are just a middleman who is doing what he's told. He's not like a decision maker. Rothschilds are decision makers, and they choose to be hostile to Israel.
So they're enemies to Israel then?
Yes, yes. Um, Very much so. They're not the let's call it. They're not the ideologues of the anti-Israel groups, but they are definitely financing our enemies, openly so. And our current leadership feels not powerful enough to stop them.
God, I'm confused. Huh. So all the rhetoric, like these people are saying, it's not true about the Rothschilds. Then they're Jewish. They are pros.
They're not Jewish. That's the lie. Just like these communists, they're not Jewish. They have definitely turned into other religion. Uh, I'll call them Satanists confidently. They will not deny it, but you know, I've never heard like any of them say I'm a Jew, they always have somebody else say about them that they're Jewish, and they don't deny it. But I've never heard any of these creeps actually say I'm Jewish. They At worst they will say I have a Jewish grandmother or something like that, but none of them are Jews. None of the Rothschilds born after the 50s, in the whole 200 and something of them, not a single one of them had the two Jewish parents or even one half Jewish parent. They were all married into the European royalty and completely abandoned any and all semblance of a loyalty to the Jewish tribal group. We call it like that. I mean,
Wow.
I heard like one who is like a illegitimate child of the Rothschilds, and when he came to Israel and he wanted to join the Freemasons, he couldn't get the Israeli citizenship, and he had to do the whole uh, what you call it in English, like convert to Judaism, because they checked in the paperwork and he wasn't Jewish, so he had to convert to Judaism like
Mm.
anybody who is not Jewish, even though he is a Rothschild, like from a mistress, but still he wasn't. He didn't get the full. He was not treated as one of our own, and for good reason. So there's actually even doubts whether the original Rothschild was actually Jewish, because it's like remember that movie Snatch?
Oh yeah, yeah, of course, yeah,
So they had this character who is dealing in diamonds, and
yeah.
he was
Might read.
pretending to be
Yeah.
Jewish so that he would be more successful in the diamond business. Because, like, how can I explain it? In Jewish, especially in religious Jewish circles, people don't like come out of nowhere. You know, if you meet a guy and he's in a tradition, he was a traditional Jewish, like from a religious Jewish group, then you can very quickly trace who was his rabbi, who were his neighbors, people who knew him when he was 5 years old, and you can immediately ask around whether he's a trustworthy person or not, because Jews, even if they are a very spread out community, they always have a way to reach out and communicate with somebody else. Uh, and so you don't have people who don't have like people who show up out of nowhere with no past. So if you try to like scam people, then the whole world will know about it, and you won't really have like anywhere to hide, because in every place that has a Jewish community, and if you appear as a Jew, they'll ask you where you grew up. Oh, then Rabbi such and such, and your neighbor was such and such, and they'll just send a letter, or these days call on the phone and find out all about you. So that's why in like professions that require a high level of trust, like again banking or medicine or serious trade where a lot of money is involved, the reason Jews were successful is because they knew that if they try to scam people, then everybody will know about it, and they won't be able to scam anybody else without being found out. So even like Jewish criminals, like even as a criminal, you need to maintain a level of honesty, because
Mm.
everybody will find out about you that you're dishonest, and then nobody will deal with you, and then you end up like the lose your public perception, uh, public respect. Yeah.
So would you say Rothschilds are Zionists, not, or are they Zionists, or are they just going with the flow too?
Zionism is uh, supporting the Jewish state of Israel, and they are doing the opposite of that right now. They're supporting the enemies of Israel. There actually were. I saw in the WikiLeaks like a tangential mention that they were helping the Iranians with the money laundering to finance the nuclear program. So yeah, they are anti-Zionists. They're not Jewish at all, and they're anti-Zionists, and they're into the whole New World Order globalist communism thing. So yeah, um,
Would
they're
you
bad guys, enemies, and I would love to watch them being slowly disemboweled, drawn and quartered, as they say
is
in
George
your place.
Soros involved with the Rothschilds then, or is he?
George Soros is an agent of the American government. He's
Yeah.
directly working for the USAID, which is the uh, mm, foreign, the American Foreign Office program for. um the United States gives money to 70% of the countries in the world, and they use that to influence their policies. And for stuff that are too controversial to directly donate, they used Soros as a go-between. So right
Mm.
now we have these protests, even here in Israel, of all sorts of commies. They're not against the war, as some people try to portray. They want to take down the government and
Mm.
convince the leadership of Israel to step down. And they protest to have some sort of peace deal with the Hamas, a temporary peace deal, not permanent one.
Yeah.
Nobody here in Israel supports a permanent peace with Hamas. They will be destroyed. We're just arguing whether we attack right now and free all the hostages, or we free some of the hostages in an exchange, and then go finish the job a few weeks later.
I don't think the hostages are alive. Me personally.
No, they released like yesterday a few confirmation videos, proof
Uh,
of life, but for only like 30 of them. There's another 100 that we're not sure about, and they're probably dead. But no, they kept a few of them alive. They just most of the not all the kidnappings were done by let's say professional Hamas militants. There were a lot of people who just walked in from Gaza and
yeah.
grabbed the Jews and managed to not kill them off on the way back to Gaza. And so we had the various like groups that were holding them who are not exactly Hamas. It's there were these two. A couple months back, there were two hostages released in a military operation. So they, for example, they were not held directly by Hamas. They were held by a tribal militia who is allied to Hamas.
Mm.
These were like two old guys. One was 50 something, the other was 70 something. And so, uh, yeah, it's probably safe to talk about it now because uh, basically, they made a deal with the Israeli government that when the Israelis finish the war, they won't destroy this specific tribal militia, and in exchange, they left the road open for the army to rescue these hostages and get away with it. Because they could have, booby trapped the whole street with bombs if they wanted to stop any sort of hostage rescue mission. But they didn't. They allowed these two hostages to be released in a deal with our government.
Mm.
Um, the original was, yeah. So yeah, the Rothschilds are anti-Zionist. They're bad guys, and I would love if they all died. And there is, of course, the matter of the loan. So, as part of the COVID crimes, one of the first people who went in on this was Netanyahu. And right when COVID started, around spring 2020, Netanyahu, in the name of the whole Israeli people, took a loan of back then it was $100 billion with a payout time of 100 years. So he took that directly from the Rothschilds in the London International Stock. There's London and there's the City of London, and the City of London is like on a separate set of rules. They're not ruled by the civilian government. They have their own like royal thing. So through that, the state of Israel took a loan of $100 billion with a repayment time of 100 years. So we're gonna pay the Rothschilds like 10, if not 20 times over. And they immediately stole at least half that money directly into government people's pockets. Like off the bat, they stole half the money, and another about 30 billion they paid Pfizer to get the vaccines first. We were like the first country poisoned by them, and the rest of the money, it's not clear where it went, but just to put it in perspective, we have already spent $200 billion in this war, in this current war. So we took out a loan that will take 100 years to repay, and none of that money was useful. It's not even like a big amount compared to Israel's budget. So it was a complete waste. And I, in the optimistic scenario, I thought that Netanyahu was thinking that like, if we owe them money and we keep paying them, then maybe they will not try to kill us. But as it turned out, they tried to kill us anyway. They didn't care whether we pay them or not. They went ahead with the plan, and with the lethal injections, and now this war, and the whole Iran thing. So yeah, even when you try to pay them off, they still want to kill Israel. So they're very much anti-Zionists,
Wow.
exclusively, undoubtedly.
Yeah. It's all confusing. Now I'm really confused because I don't know what's what now because they
Yeah,
say the Rothschilds control everything. They do this, the Zionists and that. So I don't know. I just don't know. I really don't know what to say now. What you just said
yeah,
to me.
I know. They have there is the Russian term for this is attack by replacing definitions. So, in the same way that they started to replace the definition of what is a man or a woman, in the same way they replaced the definition what is a Jew, what is a Zionist, what is a left wing, what is a right wing, what is truth. It's an attack. It's a form of attack. So one of the things that the Rothschilds did over many years is to pretend that they're Jewish and to pretend that they are supportive of Israel, so that when you condemn them for the horrible crimes against humanity that they committed, including financing the Nazis in World War II and financing every enemy of Israel since then they can call you an anti-Semite. So it's like George Soros is like an actual Nazi who actually murdered Jews, and saying bad things about him is somehow anti-Semitism. No, he's an evil monster, and I would love to have the honor to personally disembowel his son Alexander Soros, who is continuing in his criminal ways, because he's right now financing an organization called Students for Justice in Palestine, and they're the ones who are paying for all the tents and the food of all these anti-Israel protests in America. So he's an enemy, and it's not racism. And again, he's not Jewish
He's
by any stretch.
Hungarian, isn't he? He's Hungarian
He,
background, isn't he?
we have not. He did not have a public DNA test. He might be. There's the funny conspiracy theory of lizard people. Maybe he's a lizard. Who knows? But he's not Jewish by any definition. Not legally, not genetically, not anything. He's an enemy of humanity, and his death will make me very happy.
Do you know what? Alexander, I'm really fucking confused. I'm really. Um,
Yeah,
do you know what? I can't look into this any longer because this is really confusing me. I'm just going to let you
yep.
talk because I've been told the Rothschilds are this, Rothschilds are that, the Zionists. I mean,
I
I
heard
don't know
that
enough
Mel
about the
Gibson is
Rothschilds.
making a movie about them. That's gonna be awesome.
Oh, you're on about what's the Australian guy actor? What's his name?
Yeah, Mel Gibson. He's
Yeah,
doing a
but they're
movie
trying
about
to
the Rothschilds.
cancel him. He's made it, but he can't get it released, can he?
I don't know. I mean, I remember that he was like caught drunk driving and saying the Jews control Hollywood and stuff, which is, true. It's like complaining that there's a lot of black people in basketball. I mean, Jews are good at entertainment. What's so racist about that?
It's
And anyway, so he had like he was blacklisted for a while, and then he made like several movies where as a director, where the main actor is Jewish,
well
and
because they're
they sort
good
of
business
forgive him.
people. That's why they're in Hollywood, aren't they? I mean, they're business people, aren't they?
I
That's
mean, I
what.
don't know if you did you ever like in high school or something, did you participate in a theatrical play?
No, not really. Only a
So
Christmas Day activity. Yeah,
actors are famously have big egos, and most of the what you call production and directing is handling a lot of
yeah,
people with a lot of egos and keeping them calm enough to perform the job.
mm,
So it takes a lot of convincing
mm,
people who don't want to be convinced, and that's why there's a lot of Jews in the entertainment industries, because it takes a serious organizational skills to have a successful production run, have a successful show.
mm.
Like talent management, directing. I mean, if I had the financial option, I would have. I think I would personally be a great movie director. I have like a very good like imagination where I can like look at a
Yeah.
scene and think about what camera angle will be best. But I'm too old for that. But that's what I would have done if I had like restart my life or something.
So, do you think the people like the Rothschilds are that are giving the Jews a bad name? Then,
Obviously, yeah. And
yeah,
again, they're not Jewish. They don't even call themselves Jewish. It was created as a myth to avoid asking a question of why they don't show up at church. So you had you're in Britain. There was a person in the Middle Ages.
mm,
There's probably a Wikipedia article about him. He was named Aaron of Lincoln, and he was like the Rothschild of his time. He was richer than the King of England, and he was loaning the money. So the core mechanic is that during the Middle Ages and a little later, everybody was under the rulership of the church, and you had famously always the king is arguing with the head of the church or directly with the Pope and the Vatican about who gets what kind of authority. And because Jews do not answer to the Christian church, obviously, they were directly the property of the king. So they were used as like money collectors for the nobility. Because if you had like, who's a good example? William of Normandy, the famous William the Conqueror, he was in a conflict with the French king. So if the French king tried to go and collect taxes from him, they would have a big war over that. So what the French king would do is instead he would send a bunch of Jews and sort of imply to William of Normandy that he will loan money from them and pay them interest,
Mm.
and then the Jews will give the king most of the money that William of Normandy paid, and that way he doesn't lose his honor of directly paying to the king. He's paying to the Jews who are paying to the king, and obviously, as the middleman, Jews managed to become very rich from that in various countries, and it usually got to a point where the kings became afraid of them and had to force them to leave. That's what happened in England, what happened in France, and more famously in Spain. Uh,
So
so
the main, the head of the head, well, obviously there's different Rothschilds, but the main Rothschilds, what ethnicity are they then? Are they American or like?
from what I know, the current leader of the main stakeholder of the Rothschild franchise, call it like that, is Ariana de Rothschild. She's hiding in Switzerland, obviously.
Okay.
The whole the American thing came much later. All of these, Rockefellers, Carnegie, J.P. Morgan, all of these types, they actually earned money by producing stuff and not just banking and manipulation on a government level. So they came around much later, but they were used. They were sort of. It's like when I described previously. It's a lot of people who are simultaneously in a lot of clubs. So the uh, let's call them a nobility that formed in the United States as the United States became an economic power in the
Mm.
late 19th century, they were introduced into the clubs of the Europeans, of the older clans. And the Rothschilds are obviously in a very advantageous position there. So they were sort of co opted into that system. And after the massive transfer of wealth after World War II, the American segment became more powerful than the European because they work by secretly owning stocks in various companies, and obviously with most of Europe destroyed, the American stock options became much more valuable, and so the American part became more wealthy than the European part. But they still sort of exist in a it's not exactly a power balance, but in cooperation. They cooperate with each other, and it's hard to say who is exactly dominant in what field. But they're all working together, and they always try to scam each other because that's the kind of people that they are. Because once you reach a certain level of wealth, all you have left to do in life is to scam other rich people.
Do you
And
think they
so
were
that's
very involved with Epstein and Weinstein?
Epstein was a minor character, but he was very good at convincing people. So first of all, let's clarify the reason he was killed is because he was competition. I mean, all of these um, it's called all of these blackmail operations where
Yeah.
they introduce you to underage girls.
Mm.
This is a very old thing. I mean, famously, when the United States was just formed, they sent Benjamin Franklin to Britain, and he was in what's called the Hellfire Club, and then he went around in all these secret French uh, orgy things, and he did the similar things in Holland. So they had these groups of blackmail rings where everybody does shameful things so he can be trusted to not reveal the secrets of the group. So it's an old thing. And Epstein was a contractor, basically. He worked simultaneously for CIA, Mossad, FBI, and who knows. And he was allowed to operate. You had the similar thing with what's his name, uh, Puff Daddy, Sean Combs.
I was just going to ask you this. Do
Yeah.
you
So
think? Do you think the Rothschilds have been paying P Diddy and for it free and all of that? Because it seems madness. Like P Diddy is worth something like 64 billion. Yeah.
I didn't know if he was that rich, but it's again, it's a method of action. It's an operation manual. They recruit people who host parties and then use these parties to blackmail other people, and out of that blackmail, they maintain their power. He is not alone. There's a lot of groups doing the same thing, and it reaches a point where people who want to get a promotion to a certain level, they are looking for somebody who will blackmail them so that they can be introduced into a higher level club. You know, they're like looking for somebody who will put them into an uncomfortable situation so they can get the promotion. So I don't know. The real mystery is why all of a sudden it stopped and they tried to hunt him down unsuccessfully for now.
Mm.
It's a real mystery what happened there, but it's
Oh, he's evil, mate. But they reckon.
they're all evil. The
Yeah,
question
I
is
mean,
why they all of a sudden went after him.
um, yeah, I think they're saying Jay Z is the worst one out of the two. To be fair, that they're going to drop each other in it, and Will Smith and all that. Um, well, wait you see, there's a lot happening, and there's a lot happening, and P Diddy seems to be has done some really disgusting things with these sex parties. What's been going on? But we'll wait and see. We don't know if it's a stitch up. It's quite weird because um, Ice Cube he's uh, been trying to speak out, and they have shut him out everywhere. Everywhere he hasn't got had any film roles. He hasn't. They won't
Yeah, so
accept
was
his
Cat
films.
Williams. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I said, they create a situation where they want a person to be trustworthy, and to
Mm,
become trustworthy, you need to be there needs to be a credible threat against you to make sure that you toe the line and do what you're told. And people
mm,
who don't do what they're told are not promoted.
mm.
And that's
I still don't think like that. Jews are the only ones who are in it. A part of
of
this, the
course not.
Italian mafia, and they're all being.
I mean,
Oh,
these are methods that go back to like ancient China and ancient India and in the Mesoamericans. It's always the same thing. It's like
mm,
it's the most efficient method to get a. It's the most efficient method for a group to create trust in a high risk situation is to have credible threats of blackmail on each other.
mm,
So this is the model. They do shameful things, and that way they have blackmail on one another. I mean, when I was in the army, they basically offered me to join some sort of, not exactly that, is more of a corruption thing. So
mm,
they told me, like, you just sign the paperwork, don't ask questions, and we make sure that from the day that you finish the army to the day that you finish university with a master's degree and a guaranteed management job, you'll never have to work ever. You'll have enough money. Just sign the papers and don't check the accounts. And I was young and stupid. I refused the money. I realized the scam they were doing, and let's just say they try to kill me twice. Obviously didn't succeed, and I sort of worked out a deal that I'll get, mental discharge, and that way my testimony against them will not be credible.
Mm.
Uh, so I did like 3 weeks of military prison. It was actually more fun than it sounds. I got to meet a lot of interesting people that you wouldn't normally get to talk to, like criminals and stuff. And it was actually fun, except for the food. uh, it gets annoying after a while, but in the first few weeks, you get to meet a lot of interesting characters, hear a lot of
Mm.
original stories, and yeah, that's how I left the army. Never
Lodger
enjoyed.
asked, do you hold arms at all? But you were in the offices, wasn't you? You weren't on the foot line, was you?
The what?
I've been asked, do you still carry arms? But you were doing paperwork for them, weren't you? Weren't you? Well,
Carry arms? What's it?
like firearms.
No, I don't have any.
Doesn't have any. No, he wasn't. Lodger, he wasn't on the. It was my mistake. He wasn't on the. He was in like working in the offices. Am I right? For
I
Italy.
my military path. I'm a very unhealthy person, so I had like what you call it, like a medical exemptions. So when I joined the army, I had 8 of them. So I wanted to serve. I could have been just medically discharged, but I wanted to, serve anyway. So I went into the Navy, and even in the Navy, they deemed it too dangerous to have me on like active combat duty, so they put me into the logistics and paperwork. And
Yeah.
when they found out that I was smart, they had me do budgetary stuff. And when I did the budget stuff, that's where the whole corruption thing, because they were like uh, I I made some in accrued estimates. They were stealing at least 1/3 of the budget directly into their pockets, and I saw like various methods where they're money laundering for criminal organizations, and and I told them that I saw that, and yeah, that's when they offered me the money, and when I didn't take the money, they tried to eliminate me as a dangerous witness, and
Mm.
they failed, and that's where we had this deal. And yeah, uh, like I mean, one of the people who I personally I had emails between is Gadi Eisenkot. He's right now in the government cabinet. He was like directly stealing money for. There was like a special budget allotted for lonely soldiers, so they can buy food if they have no parents or something, so they get like extra money to buy food. And he told me to steal that so he can buy a coffee machine from an unlicensed retailer. So it's a money laundering scam. And the guy had like 50 personal assistants. He didn't need a coffee machine, but he was using it as a scam. That's like him personally signed on the email, not he can't say that they were middlemen or something. And they were doing all sorts of scam, like stealing truckloads of food and then reselling them through the hotels, or using the army's authority to take over land and then build houses on it and sell the houses, all kinds of scams. And like I said, at least 1/3 of the budget was directly stolen, and they couldn't have somebody running the budget and not handling
Mm.
it. So for people who ask how October 7 happened, we have corruption in the army. And when the rubber hits the road, you suddenly find out there's not enough guns, there's not enough mortars, there's not enough machine guns. the bunkers were not properly reinforced, and yeah, it's a systemic thing. And the people who did that are right now in positions of power, and again, they're all blackmailed. They all went to the special military school in America where they had Epstein themed parties, and they all do what they're told because otherwise the Americans would have resisted their promotion. And that's how we ended up in this situation where all of our generals are taking orders from Americans and not from the Israeli government.
I got a question for you. Can
Uh,
you ask his opinion on the kibbutz being very anti-communist?
the kibbutz is the definition of communism. They're more communist than the Soviets or the Chinese. So the kibbutz movement it actually predates the
Mm,
Soviet Union and China. And when the Great Recession hit in 1920 something, they had people from it was British Mandatory Palestine communes go to Russia, and they laughed at the Russians for not being communist enough.
mm.
That's why they left. They the communists in the Soviet Union were not communist enough for them, so they came back here to Israel.
Wow.
It's, it's like there is no private property. You don't own your underwear. You don't own your toothbrush. You give away your children to the children's room from the age of like 3, and they all grow up together and not with the parents, and they go to school together, and there is no concept of private property. You want something and you just ask for permission from the kibbutz management, and they loan you stuff, and you have like a small allowance for buying like electrical things and stuff. It's a very I mean, I've been in my father worked for a year in a kibbutz, and they allowed me to be there over the summer in like the children's room daycare. And it's a very like peaceful life because everything is collective, so you never worry that you won't have money, or you won't be able to pay the bills, or you will not get a job or stuff like that, because whatever you need, the kibbutz will pay for it if you actually convince them that you need it.
Are you
But
saying to me, what is your opinion? Because
I,
you're
I mean,
anti-communism, and
yeah, I mean, again, I'm listing the good things about kibbutz, but there's obviously the bad things because, like I said, for any expense that you have, you don't have your own money. You depend on the goodwill of the kibbutz management, and obviously, it's not good for somebody who has like ambition, because you can't have like your own business. You can't get promoted outside of the kibbutz. Any sort of money you make, even on a government job, you have to pay the kibbutz. So if you have like it's good if you need just a quiet life and do almost nothing, and that's good for you. But if you have like ambitions in life, then it's very uncomfortable to live there. So even people who grow up there, they usually leave when they're in their 20s. So like less than half the young people stay in the kibbutz once they find out they have serious options in life.
because you know what, I've been the last yesterday I've been trolled quite a bit and a bit nasty people being a bit nasty towards me. But if they actually listen to this stream and listen to what you're talking about, it's not what they would be expecting. Do you know what I mean? It's quite frustrating because uh, I just want people to listen to you. You know what I mean? And
Yeah. I mean, I oppose communism, and these people are communists. And
Mm,
for a lot of time, they would vote for the leftist parties who try to have like peace agreements with the Palestinians instead of finishing them off. But in the past, they were like they were communist but militant in the early days. So in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, they were like expansionist leftists. So they were communists, but they were pro forceful solutions.
mm,
They were like most of the lands that were confiscated from Arabs. It was not done by the right-wing Jews. It was done by the kibbutzim. And when the 80s and 90s came along, they had sort of an identity crisis especially after the Soviet Union collapsed, and they turned into like radical leftists, and they supported like peace with the Arabs. And this the October 7th, that closed the whole book on them, because most of the civilians who were murdered on the attack, they were from the kibbutzim along the border. And these were
mm.
like the leftist guys, so they would let the people from Gaza work in their kibbutzim, and they thought that these were their friends, and it turned out some of them, if not all of them, were actually Hamas spies who were working in the kibbutzim to gather intelligence. And in the end, when Hamas attacked on October 7th, they had like lists of names, like the names of people who live in every house, because the people who worked from Gaza who worked in these kibbutzim, they were giving intelligence to the enemy.
Wow.
So even the most hardcore kibbutznik leftists realize that no, Hamas really do want to kill him, and they don't really care if he's the most internationalist, Marxist, communist. For them, he's still just a settler and a Jew that they need to kill. And that's that. It took 75 years, but they're finally out of their stupidity.
Christ. That's crazy.
Communism is always crazy. That's why it always fails.
Mm.
Takes a while.
I don't know. I think we've got a few people in this country of getting their own way with communism.
Yeah, they never tried that. They never go to live for a few weeks in Cuba or North Korea or China.
Mm.
They never tried that for some reason. They advocated
No,
communism out of a privileged position.
you're right there, mate. You're right. They haven't that no, they haven't gone to places like Cuba or actually lived in Russia when it was actually a communist state. You know what I mean? Yeah, they promote all of this, don't they? No.
Communism at its core is, like I explained last time, it's an ideology that it will actually benefit the rich, and
Mm,
the poor are being told that the government will take care of them, but it's obviously a lie, and the rich just want to stay rich and also maintain a high position in the party, so that no matter what kind of stupid financial decisions they make, they will always have the government salary to keep themselves rich.
rich.
So
Yeah.
it's a scam. It's a very complicated scam. That's why most people don't understand that it's a scam. But yeah, it's a scam against the poor to make them poorer, and the rich to make them richer.
Always
Yeah.
is, and I always say that for the people, don't they? Because I class socialism, communism is right. I think it's the same. BP, me. I think socialism's the same as communism. To be
They're
fair.
both based on Marxism. They have slight differences. What you have is democratic socialism, where they pretend to not be authoritarian for
Mm,
now, and obviously, the moment there's a crisis, the mask comes off. That's what we saw on the whole COVID thing, where even the places that were thought to be the most freedom oriented, like Holland or Switzerland, the moment they were given power, they started to like force farmers off their land or try to punish you if you use too much electricity because it hurts Ukraine's war with Russia. And now they started the whole geofencing thing. And in Britain, you have this stupid thing where they block off roads, so you have to travel further to fight
Yeah.
climate change or some stupid thing like that. So
What are
they
you?
are communists, they just pretend not to be. They hide under the liberalism.
See, it's not all so clear cut what they were like. These kids are demonstrating in these
They're stupid.
campuses.
They don't know what they're demonstrating about. It's like I said, it's a dvijucha.
Mm,
They see activity and they want to belong to something because their parents
yeah.
didn't love them enough or whatever. So they need to get approval from people around them. So they go to these demonstrations because it's the cool thing to do. Like
Yeah, and I think I have been like watching quite a few things, and I do think Utah he needs to if he wants to get Hamas, I think he can really get Hamas and wipe him out really if he wants to, but I don't think he wants to at the moment. I think he's I think it's starting to be a bit of a game with him. I think he's gone a bit nuts. I think I think from both sides, I think they're in contact with each other both, the leader of Hamas and him. And I just think they're just doing this to generate money for themselves. I really do now. I'm beginning to think that.
again, you think that this is a war by European rules. No, this is a war by Middle Eastern rules. Our tribe has been humiliated, people have been kidnapped, and our very survival is at risk if we do not crush the enemy.
Mm,
We as a Jewish nation cannot afford to appear weak, because if we appear weak, all the other
mm,
Muslims will immediately attack us. So we have,
mm,
there is no question about crushing Gaza. We're being held back exclusively by the Americans who didn't fit this into their plans
mm.
that we crush Gaza because they always push for the two-state solution. It's their faith, it's their liberation theology faith that there needs to be a Palestinian state. And the good, I don't know, if you include the Arabs, then it's like 75% of the Israeli population is absolutely adamant that the war ends with a complete crushing and complete occupation of all of Gaza. And if the government and whoever is in the government does not do that, they will be voted out. There is no two ways about it. Even the most stupid leftists realize that Hamas will kill him given the option, and playing around with the whole uh, we need to think of the children of the enemies, and they are hungry, they don't have enough food. That went away. The soldiers will go in and will conquer Gaza and will take it all. The only thing holding them back is the government, the stupid government of Bibi, who is also playing with all these secret societies, and the Americans that are offering him money. We don't really need their money, and we don't really need their bombs. We'll go in there with the, rifles. We have enough rifles to handle the job if need be. And we would have done it a long time ago if the Americans had not been stopping us.
Yeah,
We could have like finished the whole thing in 2 3 weeks. It would have cost us more casualties, but we could have done it in 2 or 3 weeks. It was purely the Americans holding us back because they wanted to reduced the amount of civilian casualties in Gaza. I mean, a lot more of them died because the terrorists had the time to relocate between hideouts. You could have just, bombed the place to bits and have the, I don't know, 20 or 30,000 civilian Palestinians killed in the action, and it would have been done. But now there's a lot more of them dying from disease and malnutrition and exposure and that stuff. So, as usual, the American plan caused more damage than they wanted to.
Yeah, man, that's crazy.
I mean,
Oh, so confusing.
well, it's not confusing if you realize the basic formula that the leftists always lie because that is their way. So when you have
Mm,
when you see leftist talking points, you start by assuming that it's a lie, and from there you keep moving, and you usually end up correct.
mm. I think it's it's very. I mean, I was watching Piers Morgan Uncensored, a couple of these things.
Oh, the famous Pierce Morgan.
Yeah, watch it actually. It's quite intriguing. He's had a few guests on there talking about the Palestinian thing, man. And I'll tell you what, some of these pro-Palestinian supporters are getting unhinged. I'm telling you.
Well, they're either commie or Islamists, so they are unhinged by definition. Why are you surprised?
Yeah, they're really going mad. I don't know if they're being paid to do it or what.
No, they're true believers. It's a religious war. It's Islam against Judaism, or
Mm.
fundamentalist Islam. Okay,
Yeah, but
against
these
Judaism.
are Americans. These are
So
Americans, going like it's quite nuts. They ended up calling him a racist.
of course they do.
Yeah. I just think I don't know anymore. It's fucking crazy. But it's very interesting and about the Rothschilds, though. I'm actually really quite confused with it all because I've always been told by you know,
You are
the
told by the leftists, and what the leftists tell you is a
yeah,
lie. Why is it confusing? I'm not sure.
yeah.
Just expect the communists to lie to further their agenda.
Not just the
It's not
communists,
confusing.
though. The alt right as well. They're the same.
The alt National Socialism is socialism. They're both leftists. They pretend to be right. They pretend to be right wing, but they're both left wings. The Nazis and the commies are both left. The only difference between them is the racism part.
Yeah.
That's the big.
Do you know what? You're right, actually. I thought I was right all these years, and a lot of people in this country are right about it. Yeah, you're right. They said Hitler was a socialist, wasn't he? A communist. They say he was a leftist, don't they?
Hitler was a commie leftist. Mosley was a commie leftist. Mussolini was a commie leftist. They all just they changed because communism by itself always fails. They thought that if they add in the nationalist part,
Mm.
then that will make it succeed. And they changed the nationalism, and they sort of allowed some people to be rich when
Mm.
it suits the interests of the party, of the political party. But it's the same communism. It just allow. I mean, under communalism, under communism, you also had like secret millionaires, but in fascism, you can be openly millionaire
Mm.
and not be ashamed of that. I mean, uh, like Mao famously had like 2,000 prostitutes serving him, and he had all sorts of like private pool while everybody else was starving. He was the in North Korea, the Kims. I mean, in the country, everybody is starving, and he's fat. and his father had like a point of paying cash for imported lobsters, just to show everybody that he's wealthier than them. In Romania, there was Ceausescu. He would
Oh yeah.
intentionally cause a blackout in all the city except for the royal palace, so that everybody will live in darkness and look at him to see that he still has light. That's communism. It's a scam, and people think that if it sounds smart with like fancy terms of from economics, then it's somehow not a scam. It's a scam.
Crazy, man. I'm do you know what? I'm a little bit gobsmacked. I don't know what to say.
Well, I know what to say. That I was planning to go on until midnight, and now it's been 20 minutes after that, so I should be going to sleep. And
Okay, mate.
I'll
Yeah,
let
that
you
was,
think of interesting questions for next time.
yeah. Well, thank you, Alexander. I mean, when do you want to plan to come on next?
Um, uh, well, I can violate Shabbat for a good cause, so tomorrow evening I can do it.
Sorry.
Um,
Oh,
I
sorry. You're thinking. I thought you was waiting for me to say something. Sorry.
I can probably be available tomorrow around
What time do you want to
midnight.
do that?
I can do in the evening, and I can also do in
You pick
the
a time, Alex.
no,
You pick a time.
afternoon. I can do. I have an appointment in the morning. I'm working. So yeah, around the evening. Hopefully in the earlier time.
6 o'clock. So that's actually, if I say 5 o'clock in my time, or 4 o'clock in my time, because you're 2 hours ahead, aren't you?
Yeah,
4 or 5. So that'd be 6 in your time. Yeah.
yeah,
So if I set up for 4 o'clock tomorrow,
yeah. I can do it.
all right then, man. We'll do that. Okay.
Well, good night, everybody.
Thank you for coming on. Sorry about the confusion. That was my fault,
Yeah,
Alexander. So I'll set up for 4, and I'll send you. You'll get a StreamYard link from around your time at 6 in the evening. Okay.
yeah, and publish the videos of this stream in like a separate video, so people will be more easily able
Yeah,
to hear them.
I've been premier. I have at the moment. So
Maybe do like the whole TikTok clip cut up, so people could share. Look at this
I'm not on
Zionist
TikTok,
Jew
mate.
from Israel bad mouthing the Rothschilds.
I actually gonna premiere. I'm gonna premiere this later on
So
um,
yeah,
in the morning. In the
I
morning,
give you
I
full permission to share and pass around
thank you,
this
but I
whole
can't. I
thing.
don't go on TikTok. I don't trust TikTok. Um,
Yeah, obviously they're evil, but you need
yeah.
to what's the old English term? When the enemy offers battle, you have to stand and deliver.
Okay, mate. I'm gonna do a premiere on this in the morning. Later on,
Oh,
and
okay.
I'm gonna
So
obviously it takes time to download, so I will do a premiere and share this, and I will retitle it. Okay.
okay.
Thanks a lot, Alexander.
Thank you
Okay.
too,
See
and
you.
keep on streaming.
I am, man. I'm keeping on streaming, mate. I am. Even I'm
Okay.
been having threats.
Ooh, that's yeah. You know
Right,
the
guys. If you want me to do a different stream, I'm doing this separate. If you just want to talk about and come on the, I'll redo a new stream. and we'll start chatting about a few things
Okay.
because we're going to do this separate for the Alex's stream. Okay, so I'll be setting one up for 11 o'clock, guys. Okay, well, sorry, about 11:15. All right, speak to you a bit later. Thanks for joining, and I will be on time this time. It was my fault today. Bit of a fuck up today. All right, I'll see you later.